it say we're live? We should be live. Little mic check. See if ow.
Still showing 7 days ago, but it might take a minute to come through.
The steering wheel's caught in my phone charger here. Jeez, rookies.
Well, if you want to fly today, I'll fly cover for you all day.
Well, we'll see.
There we go. There's the live notification. All right, we are live.
All right, perfect. Can you hear us? Because I'm having trouble pulling this stuff up here. Usually I just use my phone to see if I could hear us. Patriot View live. Check.
Yeah, we're good.
Awesome. Cool. Well, we're going to do the intro video. Good show to come.
Nice. Voice levels sound good and everything. What's up, everybody?
Here we are. Up, cowboy. Welcome back. Hopefully,
What's
this
going
episode
on,
doesn't
buddy?
end like the last one ended.
Right.
I gotta move your
Oh,
camera a
let
little
me
bit.
mute that. Mute.
Let's see here. A little bit of
Yeah, you got a little more background than I wanted, but that'll be
light.
all right. One of these days, I'll get me a cool background like you got.
Heck yeah. Well, that'll work. Yeah, man. So power went off. I lost power last week for like probably an hour to an hour and a half, and then uh, the next day, my old lady's brother still didn't have power. So whatever happened, it was a big deal.
I remember you said like 60,000 people were out of power.
It was like I think like 34,000 initially, and then the next day after my power was restored and everything, there was still like 11,000 they said without it. So it was
Wow.
a pretty big area. Yeah, it was like
Let's see.
I don't remember the square mileage. It was like probably 3,600 square miles, I'd say.
Right. That's big.
Yeah.
Hey, Meat. What's up, buddy? I don't know why I haven't thought to do this before. I just popped out chat and drug it over to my other monitor where the document's at. That way I can read chat without having to do this and
Yep.
look
I
over
put
to
my
the side.
document in front of my I put the stream in front of me, and then the chat's on the right naturally, and then I put my document over top the stream.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Well, man, it's been some crazy weather for you and me both the last few days.
For sure.
I've been not been working very much due to ice and snow, and now it's like 5 degrees out and cold.
Yeah, it's about 5 degrees here with at least 30-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, you can't keep CIA Cowboys at that temperature. We freeze.
Oh, I'm in the house. And my
Oh, me too.
my
I ain't
house is
going
probably
out
like
either.
100 years old, and it's not too airtight. So like the upstairs is like 74 degrees, and the downstairs is like 60 degrees.
Yep. Oh, the upside of that is if you fart at night, it gets out quick.
Yeah, never thought of
You
that. I
don't get
guess
stuck with it.
that's a
there,
decent one
there's pluses and minuses to everything.
for sure. So tell us about some of your pluses. What has happened in the past week or past month or whatever that we didn't get to talk about before power got cut out last week? Anything
Well,
good going on? You didn't even
well,
tell me I was
we
wearing the wrong glasses, man. I got a gimmick going on. I'm supposed to be looking cool for this stream.
the oh hey, we need to get the document posted in chat. I'll get that posted.
Yeah, Speedy, he's the
Copy.
best. There we go. Oh, it's way better in my eyes, anyways. Believe it or not, these aren't very tinted. They just take away, like I got a window in front of me. It takes away all the glare. There you go. Look at that document.
There we go. So we got our family moved up finally right around Halloween, and just been trying to get settled into the house here. Been working crazy hours. I mean, some days 12, 14, 16-hour days. And then here
Whiskey dick.
lately, the weather and the holidays kind of killed work. I had several weeks in a row. We only worked 2 or 3 days. And so hopefully after this week, we'll be back to working regular till probably sometime in February. We'll get hit with a good snowstorm, ice storm in February that'll last a week or two. And then after that, we should be good to go and be rolling pretty steady. Bought a truck, bought me a Dodge pickup truck, sold my little Ford Focus that I was driving back and forth from Memphis, and bought me a truck and outfitted it for work. Got a few new projects I'm working on. I bought my first Harley Davidson, and
Harley
so that'll
Davidson
make
what?
you smile.
A
Golf cart.
motor? Oh yeah, I figured.
It's a three-wheel golf cart, and it's interesting.
I know
It's got a
exactly what
Harley
they are.
Davidson. It's got a Kawasaki two-stroke engine on it, and that motor runs no matter which direction it spins. So the way that these work, when you hit the throttle pedal, it engages an ignition circuit that spins the starter and starts the motor. And then that starter runs continuously, and there's a generator built into the starter that recharges the battery. But when you put it in reverse and hit the throttle pedal, it reverses the polarity to the starter, spins it the other direction, and the engine still starts even though it's being turned in reverse. So that's rather. I'm actually going to do some digging and research on that because that's kind of interesting technology to me. A motor that can spin either direction and still fire off correctly with the timing.
Well,
That's
really,
pretty
all two
cool.
strokes are capable of that. My dad used to have a two-stroke semi truck, and sometimes when he just started, if that first cylinder kicked too hard, it'd kick it backwards. I,
He had a two-stroke semi.
yep, Detroit V8 two-stroke.
Wow, how much two-stroke oil did he have to keep on hand for that?
Well, you don't premix the fuel. It's got a fuel bath system just like a four-stroke does.
Right. But I mean, you still have to have the two-stroke oil, right?
No, no two-stroke oil.
Okay, so it's a different setup from a
Yeah,
basic
it's not
two-stroke
it's
engine.
not like your
It
four-wheeler
still
golf carts.
fires on the same strokes. It still, still fires on the same strokes, but it's not the little
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
no, no,
two-stroke.
no. It's no premix or nothing. You'll hear them like the old Greyhound buses that you hear just like screaming like 10,000 RPMs down the interstate. That's a Detroit two-stroke.
Okay,
Yep.
interesting. I didn't even know that existed. Now I got some other stuff
Yeah,
to
dude. Tons of old
re
semi trucks had them in
research.
there
Interesting.
for sure. Hey, Fluffy, thanks for that follow, buddy. We appreciate that. Actually, got to talk to Fluffy on my trucking stream earlier today. He's
Oh,
currently
nice.
in the guard. He's a veteran. He went to Kuwait for deployment, and I'm in the middle of helping him get some of his benefits that he doesn't know exist yet. He's gonna find out
That's
today whenever
awesome.
we go digging into it.
Nice.
So
So I got a guy here that I need to get in touch with, who's a mechanic. He's an Air Force vet, and he's a mechanic. He's got a little shop here on the property where my house is at. So I'm gonna go meet him, take him my last challenge coin. I got to order some more coins. I'm all out of my law enforcement and
yep.
veteran challenge coins again. So got to spend another $100 and get a few more dozen of those.
Oh, who's making microwave food back there? I see him. What are you making me? Some SpaghettiOs?
Cody wants to know what you're making him for lunch. She said a sandwich if she could make it and get it to you.
Heck yeah. Hey, what did they think about them cartoon books that I sent them?
They loved them, and they put those to use. Actually, I don't know when we moved. They might still be in some of the boxes we have yet to unpack, because we that's one thing we're short on is bookshelf space, and so they might actually still be in a couple boxes. But
Yep.
they like those a lot.
Good.
I'm gonna get some more of those and take them to some of the kids at church. We got some bus kids and stuff like younger kids that they'd really enjoy those. And our junior church program is always looking for little gifts they can give to the kids. And so I mean, if we can promote the American Legion, why not?
Absolutely. Do you have a Legion post that's close to you up there?
I do. In fact, my pastor is a member.
Nice. They should be able to.
Speedy and Whiskey said they want a sandwich.
Yeah, everybody wants a sandwich. She can be busy. I want
But
a
yeah, my pastor
BLT
is one
with
of the
no L
members
or
there.
T. Tell her bacon, lettuce,
Yeah, right.
tomato. Hold the lettuce and tomato.
Right. Just give me a bacon sandwich
Yeah,
wrapped in
yeah.
bacon and dipped in bacon grease.
So my powers went out like 7 times in the past 5 days. So if this stream ends, I'm gonna fire it up. I don't care if it's 2 hours from now or whatever. I'm gonna keep trying though. As soon as I get power, I'm not just a heads up for everybody there. Hopefully the power is fixed, but um, gotta I'm gonna get an episode out no matter what. It's been so last episode we got the power cut off on us after we had a good talk. It was like what, an hour, at least an hour probably.
Right.
The episode before that, actually after I got done, Beat Shield texted me. He's like, "Hey man, you good?" So I had my medicine had been changed, and it was all I could do to stay awake. Like for this episode, like I was enunciating my words so perfectly because if I didn't, I was just like blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it was terrible. Flying Venom,
Hey,
hello,
Flying
welcome.
Venom, what's up, buddy? Now, do you know Flying Venom? Have you ever had him in Discord and actually talked to him?
I have not. I don't think.
So I met him through Christine playing Warzone, 2.5 years ago. This kid is somebody that you should actually we should talk to him about coming on the show if we wanted to do like a politics section. So this kid unseated a 20-year incumbent at 18 years old for the delegate representative seat for his Republican Party to go
Heck
to
yeah.
the national convention. He unseated somebody that was, I think, had been there for about 20 years at 18 years old, and that I thought was pretty impressive. He's a very, very intelligent young man. Really nice guy.
You told me about him
And
before. I just don't think he and I have ever had the chance to actually communicate.
I keep trying to get him to get into IL2. He's a War Thunder player,
Yep.
typical consoler.
Oh boy. But
But
controllers
he does
work
have
on
PC.
computers too.
He likes War Thunder, I think he said, because some of his brothers play it, and so they're able. That's one of the things they're able to do together. I'm like, well, they could play IL2.
Makes sense.
I'm just saying.
So,
So
for
very
those of you
very
in our
cool dude.
chat here, that we got a few viewers came in since we started. There's a pinned document up top. That's literally the document that we use for the show. I follow it every week, top to bottom. I make a new one every week, top to bottom. Um, it has all the links. It has all the credits, everything in there for anything that we use for content for the show. So if you want to follow along, that's where to do it. If you don't want to, whatever, just enjoy the show and we'll do it. And I will share some of our documents with you guys, or some of the links with you guys as we continue our show. And the first one I'm going to share is this one. It is maybe
Oh, hey, Steven said he just turned in his paperwork to run for township trustee. That's pretty cool, man. I wish more young people would get involved in politics. We could actually change the world locally and then move to the national level.
I'm trying to get into
Oh yeah,
politics
that's
though.
our
So we're not going to do
that's our
history because it's been a month since I've done history, and we would be here for 2.5 hours talking about history. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm all about. But I know some viewers ain't trying to sit here for 2 hours and learn about stuff that I'm interested in. So there's the link in chat for our history. That's you can do like by day or by month, I think. Yeah, by month, by year, maybe even by decade. But usually I just go through and pick out 10 or 12 or 30 stories about, that I find interesting about history, this week in history. So it's not going to happen this week. Once we get uh, a more structured timeline for episodes, I'll be doing that. I just got moved to midnight shift and I'm still adjusting my sleep. And then actually I did 2 weeks on midnights, and then last week I was on day shift again for my annual training. So that's why our episodes have been so strung out, because I don't really have a set schedule yet. So hopefully we're going to
Yep,
come
I
back
know that feeling.
to doing Fridays. I do work Friday night. I go in at 10 p.m. So I'm probably looking to do a Friday like 7 or 8 p.m. show, talk for a couple hours, and then get ready for work. I think would be where I'm going to end up at. Plus Christmas break with the kids not going to school and such. It made for a jumbled schedule. I don't know the better
Yep.
word, jumbled.
Not to mention all the busyness of the holidays in
Yeah,
general.
for sure. We hosted Thanksgiving at our house, and then had my mom come over for Christmas and stay the night so she could wake up with the grandkids and see the openings of the presents and stuff. So for sure, busy time. Did you get anything good for Christmas?
Me? Yeah, I did actually. My brother gave me a really cool knife. I don't have it here. I'd show it to you. It's a mossy oak knife and headlamp set. Came with two knives, and the blades are, I mean, extremely sharp. But it's got like 20 interchangeable blades that just lock in and out of it.
Nice.
Things for skinning, things for gutting.
I know
It's like
exactly the kit you're
a
talking
full.
about.
You know the kit I'm talking about?
Yep.
Got the headlamp and everything in it. And so he gave me that for Christmas. I got myself a Fender guitar for Christmas
Nice.
because I can. Best Christmas gift I got though, my kids bought me a set of thermals. Thank you.
Thermal vision.
Thermal underwears.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing the older you get how much you start to appreciate socks and underwear for Christmas.
So I don't know if you can see this or not. I can't see my own camera on stream, so let me see on this window.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, my buddy got himself a big old deer
Very nice.
for last season.
Yeah, that's 140 class at least.
At least I'm betting like
That's a monster.
170. That thing's huge.
Yeah, I'm thinking 160, 170.
But
Even after it dries, big deer.
yeah, that was with a bow. And I
Ooh,
got
nice,
myself
even better.
a new knife for Christmas. Speaking of knives and Christmas, so check out the blade on this one. I really like the blade.
Oh yeah, I got the straight edge blade.
Yeah.
That's cool. So my brother trims horses on the side, and he's saving me a couple of his rasp. We're fixing to build a forge and make knives like that out of the rasp.
Heck yeah, that's cool, man. I love blacksmithing. I'd like to really
Thank
get
you,
into it
Speedy.
someday.
Yeah, those are actually all gone now. I need to order some more. I've given so many of those out to veterans. But I got to come up. I think a dozen of them cost me around $70 now. So I got to come up with some
Do you go
cash to
through the
spend. Actually,
American Legion emblem store?
I have not. When I checked their pricing, it was a little bit more per coin. I will double check that and see if there's a way that I can maybe get some discounts by ordering through my post.
Yep, that's exactly what I
Um,
was going to suggest.
because if I can, then that might be the better way to go. I do have a check coming in from Twitch from my stream this month, so we'll have some funds to put towards that and get some ordered.
Nice.
So
I
I'm
don't think I'm
excited
making any
about
money on
that.
Twitch, but of course, on the Patreon view, I'll go ahead and give my Patreons a shout out. Speedy was my very first Patreon contributor. Thank you, Speedy. And then Cake
Very
the
cool.
Head, uh, another one of our Patreon contributors. Super thankful for both those guys. We haven't really made a super ton of money yet, but once we get enough to up, basically, I think the first thing I'm going to do with our Patreon money is upgrade my Streamlabs OBS to the Ultra version to where I can multi-stream, so I can stream on like
Right.
Facebook, Twitch, obviously,
YouTube, Twitch,
YouTube,
Kick,
Kick, stuff
all
like
of
that.
them.
Yep. So
Speedy, you can get coins in the UK as well. You just got to you want to find a European supplier. If you just go on Google search and look up custom challenge coins for veterans or custom challenge coins for law enforcement, you can find a supplier there
for sure.
that will have coins. And they usually run anywhere from $1 to $10 per coin, depending on how nice and how heavy of one you want.
So moving down to the next section, since we're going to skip history, is upcoming events for veterans and first responders. In your chat, you will see a link. That link shows all of the VA outreach programs, events, stuff. So if you're getting ready to get out, fluffy, and you're looking for like job fairs or information or anything like that, click there. Also, if you're not a veteran and you are just a member of your community and you would like to help veterans, volunteer at these events.
Yep.
Handing out name tags or pens or pencils or T-shirts or whatever they got. That's always a good thing. And if you're a veteran, you can partake or volunteer, and obviously, if you're a civilian, you can volunteer to help your local veterans. That's a good program to be part of. Another thing that I love promoting is vet ticks or first ticks. If you actually, I don't have our on this particular screen. I don't have our things up. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't get to it. The Legion code is right there. I'm leaving it there. So that if you look on our screen, that's a QR code there. It says in the vet ticks box. If you scan that with your phone, it'll take you to my vet ticks referral page. And there, if you're a veteran or a first responder, you can get free tickets to almost any event nationwide here in the States. You have to pay a small fee just for processing and shipping and stuff like that. But like I've been to Metallica, Adam Sandler, Blackhawks, everything.
What did it cost us? We went to the race last year. What did that cost us for 2 days at the race?
So I
It's
got
like $30.
I got 4 tickets for the trucks. I got 4 tickets for the cars. 8 tickets cost me $30.
Yeah.
We ended up only
So
using two
well worth
tickets
it.
for the cars, I think. But uh,
Had a good time.
oh, it's awesome, and I'm gonna do it every year, man. Every year.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna do the whole weekend this year.
Another thing
We'll
I
do
gotta
the
promote is the American Legion. We've already talked some about the American Legion. Uh, I'm a huge fan of the American Legion. If you know anybody that's not part of one, you can be part. There's almost nobody who's not eligible. If you're anybody in your blood family has ever served, you can pretty much get into some sort of auxiliary unit or sons or something like that. But
right.
it's a great cause, and it is literally the singular most impactful group for veterans. It's does more
Yep.
good than Project 22 or Valhalla 22 or any of those catchphrases that they throw in there. American Legion is where it's at. Put your time and money into that if you can. Do you have any? I know you were very involved with your post down in Tennessee when you lived down there. Tell us something about the American Legion, how it's positively impacted you or veterans in your area.
Man, getting involved with the American Legion is probably the single best decision I've ever made when it comes to finding ways to help our veterans because you don't have to serve. You don't have to be there for every event. You're able to go when you have the ability to go. And the events that you take part in do make a big difference. I mean, I've watched our post in Memphis pay for Christmas for veterans' families, for Gold Star families. I've watched them pay bills for vets who were struggling after getting out of service, trying to get on their feet and get headed in the right direction. I've watched them help guys get their disability. We had one guy in our post, his sole job in the post was that 3 days a week he would drive to Nashville, Tennessee, 3 hours away, and he would sit down with our congressmen and our senators, and they would draft legislation together that affected Tennessee veterans. And it currently, well, I don't know about currently, but as of when I moved from Memphis to up here, he had a total of 16 different bills that were on the Congress floor for vote regarding the veterans of Tennessee to help them get the care and assistance that they need after they come out of the service.
We will be
And so
talking
for
about some
me,
of those bills later in the show.
you know, so for me, being able to see what I did and see the time that I invested in the Legion. And it wasn't a lot of time. It's not like I spent 10, 20 hours a week there. I was just going to different events throughout the month. I would attend a funeral for a veteran, or we'd go do build a ramp or something for a disabled veteran to be able to get in and out of their house, and an hour or two here and there as we had time. And watching that time turn into something that impacted somebody's life for the greater good, that was pretty cool. And so the Legion means a lot to me as well.
Attending veterans' funerals is a very important thing. A lot of people might be iffy about going to funerals and stuff, saying that I didn't know the guy or whatever. Anybody can find any excuse in the book to not go do it. But I'm telling you, to the family of that veteran who is sitting there at the graveside, going over their last memories and lifetimes worth of memories, having people that they've never met come up and say, "Hey, thank you for your husband, wife, whatever service." It's a very meaningful
Yep,
thing, and something as simple
it
like
does.
that can have a huge impact on someone else, and something like that can really bring bring back your appreciation. Maybe if you've lost some contact with what it takes to serve your country and keep us a free land, it can bring back some of that appreciation as well. It's American Legion is full of tons of good stuff for everybody.
It is, and it's also when you attend a funeral like that for somebody that maybe you don't know anybody involved with that person, you never met the veteran themselves, you don't know anybody in their family, but when you walk up to that grieving widow or that child or the father who's lost a son and you tell them thank you, and you tell them that you appreciate the service that their family member put in, it does something for their mental health that I don't even think I can put it into words on stream what it does for that person and giving them a little bit of extra encouragement to get through a really tough day.
For sure. So one thing that we do like to do for our veterans who watch this show, and even if they don't watch the show, just anybody that we know, the little guy who never gets appreciation, we like to do a segment called Veteran Spotlight. Now, Fluffy, need a video from you. We need lots of videos. You know any veterans, any of your military buddies? You don't have to be a combat veteran or have deployments or anything. Anybody who served, and this includes first responders. We're always talking about first responders as well. Firefighters, police, EMS, everybody. Uh, we're trying to get small clips, 30-second clips, 45-second clips of people just saying, "Hey, I'm such and such. I served, in this war, or I served in this city as a policeman, or whatever." And Cowboy just dropped his camera or something. I'm not sure what's going on
No,
there.
I'm here. I just got up to grab some coffee.
Okay. But yeah. So if anybody knows or themselves will be willing to get us a short video for us to put into our veteran spotlight, would love that. We need some more. And our next topic is news of the week. So this is news of the 2 weeks, I guess, because some of this is from last week as well. The Lebanese armed group Hezbollah has said it targeted a vital Israeli military post with a barrage of 62 rockets as a preliminary response to the killing of a Hamas leader in Beirut this week. This comes as the European Union foreign policy chief met the Lebanese prime minister in Beirut on Saturday. This would be like 10 days ago Saturday now, or 14 days ago probably. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, it'd be 2 weeks ago. And warned against Lebanon being dragged into a regional conflict and a spillover from Israel's war on Gaza. 62 rockets. That's a pretty strong preliminary response, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, that's it's not like you fired a warning shot off their bow.
Yeah, that's a pretty stern warning, I'd say. Another big news thing that happened. That this article is titled "Critical Equipment, including the black box recovered from Osprey wreckage in Japan." Japan. The tilt rotor aircraft, call sign Gundam 22, crashed on a routine training mission while en route from MCAS Iwakuni near Hiroshima to Kadena Air Base in Okinawa, killing all 8 crew members. The remains of Staff Sergeant Jake Gallagher, 24 of Pittsfield, Mass., Major Luke Unthrash, 34 of Riverside, California, Technical Sergeant Zachary Lavoie, 33 of Oviedo, Florida, Captain Terrell Brayman, 32 of Pittsburgh, New York, Staff Sergeant Jake Turnage, 25 of Kennesaw, Georgia, Senior Airman Brian Johnson, 32 of Reynoldsburg, Ohio, and Major Jeff Horniman, 32 of Andover, Minnesota, were recovered between November 29th and December 10th. A U.S. Navy salvage ship recovered the vast majority of the Air Force CV-22 Osprey that crashed off the coast of Japan in November, including equipment necessary for further investigation, according to the Air Force. The USNS Salvador, I don't know what USNS, United States Naval Ship? That's what I'm guessing. Salvador delivered
Yep.
the wreckage from Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni, where it will be inspected as part of the ongoing investigations. Air Force Special Operations Command spokeswoman Lieutenant Colonel Rebecca Heiss told Stars and Stripes by email Thursday. The Salvor, a military Sea Lift Command rescue and salvage ship, joined recovery efforts near Yukushima and an island just south of Kyushu on December 23rd alongside Japanese and civilian crews. Critical equipment identified by investigation officials has been recovered, including the voice and data recorder, often called the black box. The equipment will be transported to laboratories for data retrieval with follow analysis of the data at AFSOC, Air Force Special Operations Command. She wrote, "The analysis process is expected to take several weeks," Heiss said. The wreckage was raised December 27th from the underwater crash site south of Kyushu and in the southernmost of Japan's 4 main islands, and arrived at the base on Saturday, according to a Sunday report by Japan Today that cited an anonymous source in the Iwakuni city government. And the link is attached to the article in the document. You want to take this next one?
That that Osprey going down. That's a big deal.
That is a big
Um,
deal.
so those unlike an airplane and also unlike a standard helicopter, those have a glide path of their own when that engine fails. But it doesn't say that they suffered an engine failure. It just says it crashed on a routine training mission. That I am curious to see. I'd like to follow that story and see what happens going forward with that because I'm curious what brought that down. We've had a lot of helicopter accidents inside the U.S. lately. I think there's been like maybe 4 or 5 major
Yeah,
incidents involving
about
military and
6 or 8 months ago, there was one.
yeah,
Uh, where was that at?
two Blackhawks
Kentucky.
collided midair. Yep, on a
Yep.
night
That was
training
outside of
mission.
Fort
Then
Campbell, and like the week before that, wasn't
like
there
the
one in?
week after or the week before, we had one in Alabama,
Yep.
one in Tennessee. A lot of incidents.
Aircraft training, all during training too.
So the next story that we have, U.S. and Chinese representatives met at the Pentagon Monday and Tuesday in order to discuss military-to-military relations, global security, and regional issues, according to the readouts from the meeting that were released Wednesday by the Pentagon and China's Defense Ministry. The discussions, led by Michael Chase, Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for China, Taiwan, and Mongolia, and the Chinese Army Major General Song Yanchao, were the first between the two global powers' militaries since 2021. Direct talks were shelved after former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan in August 2022. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping met in November during the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum in San Francisco, where Xi agreed to resume the talks, the Pentagon said in its news release. Chase underscored the importance of maintaining operational safety in the Indo Pacific and reiterated the United States' promise to fly, sail, and operate safely and responsibly wherever international law allows. According to the Pentagon's news release, China urged the U.S. to reduce military presence and provocative actions in the South China Sea, Beijing's defense ministry said in its news release. China will make no concession or compromise on the Taiwan question and demanded the U.S. abide by the One China principle. The release states under the One China policy, the U.S. acknowledges Beijing's view that it has sovereignty over Taiwan, which split from the mainland in 1949, but considers the island democracy status unsettled. Beijing also called on the U.S. to stop arming Taiwan and not support Taiwan independence, according to the release. China considers Taiwan a functionally independent democracy since 1996 as a breakaway province that must be reunified with the mainland by force if necessary. So this sounds to me like China kind of looks at Taiwan the way Russia looks at Ukraine.
Yep, that's
Like,
pretty
hey,
much it.
whether you like it or not, you're going to be part of this.
I think you turned yourself
That's
down or moved your mic or something.
I probably moved my mic. Is that
Oh,
better?
oh yeah, there you are.
Yeah, my mic moved, and it's the sensitivity on this is different than it is in Discord, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
good.
it says that they're willing to reunite them by force if necessary. In other words, what we're seeing here is a flat out statement from a communist government that says we are going to control you, whether you want to be controlled or not.
Yeah, and this has
I
been the
mean,
case between those two for a long time. Um,
yeah, ever since I've been born,
yeah,
there's always been problems between Taiwan and China.
sure. I know. There's something. I don't know the specifics behind it, but there's something to do like in Taiwan they fly a certain flag, and it's not the Chinese flag, right? But then
Right.
under like in any multinational meetings where Taiwan and China both take part, uh, China won't acknowledge Taiwan or whatever unless they have the Chinese flag on their front and center on their desk or whatever.
That's messed up. At some point, you got to stand up for yourself. On the other hand, if every individual over the age of 15 in Taiwan were to pick up a weapon, they couldn't fend off China.
Agreed.
I mean, China has a military that back in the 80s, their current leader at that time bragged that he could line his men up, I believe he said 8 abreast, and march them into the ocean, and he would never run out of soldiers
Uh,
because they were being born so quickly that they could just constantly, because in China at 13 you go into the military, it's required, you start military training at 13, and so they never would run out of soldiers.
so
And
China reports in 2022 to have over 2,035,000 active duty soldiers with 510,000 in reserves. Taiwan reports to
yeah,
have
that's,
uh 169,000 active duty.
if I was China, that's the numbers I would put out to the public too.
I believe it. I mean, America has over a million.
Oh, I believe China has more than that.
Think
I
so?
don't, I don't believe they're gonna. Oh yeah, they're. I mean, when's the last time you saw a document come out of China that you actually believe more than 10% of what was in it? They also didn't release the coronavirus. It didn't come from there. It came from somewhere else. You know, they I haven't seen anything official come from China's government that I believed in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And same
Probably
thing's true
probably
of
a safe
Russia.
way to
When
be.
Russia releases casualty reports and stuff, what you see on their releases and what the indie journalists on the ground are reporting are two different things.
Yeah. Meat Shield says
And
that he heard birth rates were down. I would imagine, or that I hear that's not the case anymore. Birth rates I thought were down. I would
well,
imagine.
it's the not so much that the birth rates are down as it is that they limit the number of children you can have. After your second child, abortion is a forced thing in China. It's which is really sad that
Oh, here we
they
go.
would make something like that a law.
I'm gonna post this link in our chat. Not that our government is always truthful, but this is from the United States Joint Chiefs of Staff, and that is the highest ranking military personnel of every branch in our army, or in our military, sorry. So if you want to do some reading on the size of China's army, there you go. Links in there. They estimate China's forces to be 3 million.
Yeah, yeah, that's 500,000 more than China estimates their forces to be.
Right.
And that's not counting any special forces operations groups that they have that we don't know about. But here's the bottom line too. I mean, you can't just look at manpower. You have to look at technology capabilities. I mean, let's just be real. China's technology predates the US by a long shot.
Yeah, that's one thing I was told
They
like
are
while I
way
was in the
ahead of us.
service is that China might have a military twice our size, but only 800,000 of them can fight at night because they don't have enough night vision to fight to arm every soldier with night vision. So yeah, the
True,
first day
but
of war is gonna be tough, but the first night it's over.
maybe, but on the flip side of that, most wars aren't fought on the ground anymore. The after effects of those initial battles take place on the ground, but most wars now are fought from the air, and more of them are being fought with drones versus actual manpower. We're seeing bomb strikes and missile strikes carried out by guys who are sitting in Las Vegas, Nevada, while they're flying drones over Pakistan and Afghanistan, places like that. So the actual boots on the ground part, I don't think comes from that first conflict. I think that comes from the attempt to keep peace in the region
Yeah.
or to bring peace to the region after those bomb strikes and missile strikes take place. Now, granted, the same thing still rings true today that rang true in World War II. You can pound the crap out of something all day long with artillery, and you're still not going to stamp out everything that's there. And in some cases, you may not even be effective at doing anything other than suppressing the enemy or scattering them a little bit because they're bunkered in and they're hunkered down and they're pretty well protected.
I've never seen a war won without infantry.
No, infantry has to go in. I mean, look at Iraq.
You can
We
bomb everything you
had to
want, but
send
if you
boots
don't
on the
have people
ground.
in there to keep the bad guys from coming back in there, all you're doing is bombing stuff. You got to have boots on the
Well, what
ground at some point
happens?
in
You
time if you're
bomb.
gonna win a real war.
Yeah, when you're bombing something, you're taking out their infantry, you're taking out their little guys on the ground, but the leaders are still there, and the leaders have the ability to rally troops around them and bring people back to the front lines because they have that. That's what made them a leader was that charisma. And look at Hitler, very charismatic man, very easy to get behind because of the way he spoke and the way he was able to convince people to do things that those people probably never would have thought of on their own.
I wonder if I
And
could get
even
him
when
on the
they
show
were losing
sometime.
the war, right? Have to go to Venezuela, isn't it?
Argentina.
That where they claim Argentina. Yeah, they claimed he ran to the south.
Whiskey Dick says July 2023, the government announced the abolishment of all fines and fees associated with having more children, effectively removing a government limit on the number of children a family can have. And my quick research showed the same thing, that by law it's still that way, but not in practice. They don't impose any of those. And Meat Shield says the current birth rate for
That's
China in 2024 is 10.4 per thousand, a 1.5% decline from 2023,
right.
which was a
Now
2.3% decline from 2022, which is a 2.3% decline from 2021. So yeah, they're definitely producing less humans, which is a good thing.
these are the public releases from their government, and again, you can't always trust everything that they say. I can tell you from, and I would say firsthand experience, I have never been there. My sister has spent 5 years inside China, and the stuff that she has seen there is stuff that we as Americans cannot even begin to imagine. As far as persecution of people for their beliefs or for their choices, um, she knows a family personally who, while she was there, she didn't see it happen, but it happened while she was there. They had a baby that was more than the legal limit, and somebody came in and murdered that baby in their home.
That's crazy.
That government agency showed up and killed the baby in their home.
They don't even take
And
them and put them up for adoption or something.
nope,
And they can sell these kids on Etsy or
nope,
something,
they
can't
kill
they? Isn't there a
them. What was it? Wayfair,
yeah
wasn't
that
it Wayfair that was caught up in all
Wish.com
that? I don't know if
something?
that
I don't
turned
know.
out to be true. I don't know if that turned out to be true or if it was all false, but yeah, I remember Wayfair was caught up in a big scandal where people were supposedly selling children as furniture.
Hey, speaking of children, did they ever release this stupid list or what? The list, you know
Nope.
what I'm talking about.
Yep. Nope. Ain't been released.
I heard talks that it was supposed to be released last week.
I don't know. I think I think that there's a lot of things America could do better as far as taking care of problems like that, and things, too. I mean, even illegal immigration. People talk about illegal immigration. I know how you solve that. Let's take all the violent offenders out of jail, give them each a rifle, tell them if they can hunt down the illegal aliens and send them back, or do whatever they got to do that they can earn a pardon. We'll call it Predator versus Alien. Just make it a national event.
I do like the title of Predator versus Alien, but I have an alteration I'd like to propose to your scheme. Let's leave the convicts in jail and let's use veterans. Let's give
You can do
veterans a
that too.
purpose again.
Yeah, give them something to do, something to fight for.
Hell yeah.
I've always thought that it was kind of crazy that we send our National Guard units who are supposed to protect our home overseas, and we send them over to Iraq, Afghanistan. Why would we do that? Man, just go start emptying out the overcrowded prisons that we have. Take those guys over there, drop them off, give them 10 mags, and fully loaded. Tell them they just can't come back to the U.S. Have fun. Problem solved.
Well, our guard units are activated to give our active duty units some relief so they don't have to spend 5 years overseas like they did in World War II.
Right, right. But here's the other thing to consider with that. If we're having to spend that much time overseas, we're involved in too many conflicts as a country.
Well, we're not going to get involved in
Why?
any less, I don't think.
No.
That's
But
the
I
way of
mean
the
but I
world
mean
now.
really, why do we have boots on the ground in Africa? Why do we have boots on the ground in Iraq 30 years after the point?
I think it's
We
awesome.
shouldn't mm, it's not our job to be the world police. It's our job to go in when somebody's being persecuted and make the persecution stop, but then you need to let the people who live there sort out their problems afterwards.
I do agree with
You know, we
that.
can't
But having
we can't
eyes
in other words,
on,
we can't make the whole world into America. That's what we're trying to do, and that's where we're
well,
screwing up
I
because
think we can.
it's not good.
Uh,
There's a reason those people have their cultures and they have the things that they do. We may not agree with them, but it's their country. It's their place. We don't live there, so why should we go over there and force our customs and our cultures and our laws on them?
well, this is gonna be a long show if we're gonna open that can of worms.
That that'd be a topic for later. I gotta step away from the camera for a second. Close
Okay,
this refrigerator door.
is that
It's
what's
dinging.
beeping?
Yes,
I
and I've
thought
hollered at the girls twice to come open, close it, and they didn't hear me. So
thought maybe you had like a bomb making factory back there or something testing.
yeah, you know me, Tannerite, 30-06.
Oh yeah. Beach Shield says in 2015 the government ended its one-child policy, allowing couples to have two children, but that reform has failed to reverse the country's falling birth rate, despite a 2-year increase immediately afterwards. Experts say this is because the relaxing of the policy did not come with other relevant changes that support family life, such as monetary support for childcare and increased paternity leave. Okay, that makes sense.
I'd like to point out too the decline in 2023 from 2022. I can tell you exactly what that was related to, and that would be COVID. Everybody went into lockdown for 2 years all around the world with COVID, and birth rates everywhere climbed because they didn't have nothing else to do.
You,
Just saying.
you ever heard of John Calhoun?
Name's familiar.
He did a study back in the 60s. Oh, hold on. I just got 97 pop ups. It's like we're back in 2006 all over again with
No,
these
no, no.
pop
They
ups.
they declined from what they climbed up to during COVID. Is my point. Birth rates around the world went up during COVID because people were locked in. They spent more time together, and obviously they had sex more often, and babies came about. But in 2023, those numbers would have dropped because now we're back to normal life. You know, COVID, oh, new strain of COVID. So what? We're going to work anyways. We got to
China
eat.
has continuously dropped in population from 2020. There was no increase during COVID at all. It was all
Mm.
decline, according to BBC.
See, I'd like to know where they're getting their stats from,
But
though. I mean, who's
anyways,
who's actually tracking that?
check out that link in chat. John Calhoun did this study I just learned about a couple months ago, where he put X amount of rats in a cage, right? A huge cage.
Hmm.
And
That's why I know that name.
yeah, and they banged and they banged and they banged until they were full. And then there wasn't enough food and there wasn't enough water anymore, so they stopped banging. And then the masculine rats became super masculine, and the good looking rats became super good looking, and the shitty rats just kind of stayed in the corner and didn't get.
Died out.
Yeah, but the point is, once population reached maximum capacity, the rats were never able to recover. They stopped banging, and they stopped reproducing, and kept they self segregated into different tiers, like different classes, and
Yep.
and it ended to the demise of the entire population.
Yeah, because eventually the pretty rats took over everything,
OG butt
and
stuff. Welcome to chat. He says we
they
don't need to
didn't.
worry about a lack of population. Tens of thousands entering illegally every day. Yeah, you're late to the show, buddy. We talked about that already.
We when you read the full write up on that experiment, he performed that experiment like 10 different times,
Yep.
and it ended the same way every time. The prettier rats turned into homosexuals, and they quit breeding with the females, and the whole population ended up dying out
Hmm.
because of that. Which is it's an interesting study for sure. I can't remember how many times he repeated that altogether. I think it was 10 different times that he repeated the same experiment. It was really interesting read. I read there was a big article. It might be the one that you linked actually. I don't think it was from Smithsonian though. But it was a long article detailing all the different things that he did, you know, as far as what he documented
Right.
and how exactly everything worked. The way they did it is there was plenty of food. They never had to worry about going out to scrounge food for themselves or anything like that. Everything was handed to them. You know, they were in a protected environment.
Well,
But yeah, definitely a
it's
good
really
read,
really easy to relate that to modern day America. Anyway, I don't know about the rest of the world, but
right? Now,
really,
Meat Shield mentions regarding the lower birth rate, less people to take care of older people. I'd like to talk about that for a minute, just in relationship to our country. The United States in modern times, an older, you know, couple generations ago, this wasn't true. Say three, maybe four generations ago, this wasn't true. But in modern times, America's young people don't take care of the older people. That that is a culture that is still cultivated in many other places around the world. You know, that the older parents and grandparents, they move in with a younger person in their family and they're cared for until they die. Here, the natural tendency is to stick them in a nursing home
well, I can
and
tell you
pay somebody else to take care of them.
some of the countries that I've been to. It's a prideful thing for a man to be able to be so successful that he can afford to have his parents, and a super successful guy can afford to have his grandparents move into his
Yep.
house, and that is their measurement of
It's
success, literally.
yeah, you're looked up to in town when you're the guy who's taking care of them,
But also in those cultures, women don't work. Women stay home and take care of them people.
right? Take care of the house. And you know, in America, up until
Yeah, meat
the
shield, I
late
gotcha.
1970s, most women didn't work here. You know, the women started working more during World War II, and that has climbed steadily since then. But even back into the 70s and 80s, it was still possible to raise a family on one income, own a car, own a home, and pay for college for your kids on one income.
Yeah, and get
We
to go
can't do
bowling and go
that
to the pool and
anymore.
everything.
Yeah, yeah, you had money to do things. I can remember my dad being a pastor in the 80s, and he was making less than most people at work. You know, it's contrary to what people believe. Most pastors do not get rich pastoring a church.
What about Joel
It's
Osteen? He's pretty rich.
that's a little different. We're gonna have that conversation one day too. Um, that's a little different. But most pastors are not getting rich. Some of them are well taken care of by their congregations because they have people in the congregation who are wealthy. My dad was never one of those guys. We pastored small country churches, and so we weren't one of those guys, and he was fine with that. He always worked a second job to feed the family. But my mom never worked, and they raised 7 kids. My dad put 5 daughters through college, um, and I don't know how he did it. I seriously have no idea how my dad afforded to do that because I'm sitting here with 2 kids, trying to support my family on one income, and we are paycheck to paycheck, hand to mouth. We're our bills get paid, but we're tight, and I'm okay with that because I don't want my wife to have to work out of the house. She can if she wants to. I would never stop her from getting a job,
Yep.
but she wants to be home with the kids. We homeschool our kids, and she likes that. She
Yep.
likes the ability to mold them into what she believes they need to be, not what some other agency or person thinks they need to be. The internet's filled with step family getting taken care of.
I don't even know what that means.
You're right, Whiskey. The problem is nobody wants to work or take care of family or the house. Nobody wants to earn a paycheck. Nobody wants, and let's just be real, taking care of an elderly parent or grandparent, it's not a fun job.
Well,
I
we've gotten
mean,
away
you're
from
the person.
social meetings too, like in-person meetings.
Yep,
When
yep.
all of us grew up, if you wanted to go see your friend, you got on your bike and you rode over there. You didn't know if they were home or not. And
Right. You
so
knocked
like,
on the door, or you might be allowed to use the phone if you could get it far enough from the wall in the kitchen on the cord it was attached to.
yep. And whenever any household could have a random person show up, whether it be a friend or a coworker or anything, you wanted to have a nice house to present to those people when they came over. But now everything's social media. You can just FaceTime somebody or do what we're doing. You can just have a me and you.
And
We don't have to hang out in real
throw a
life, cowboy.
background.
We can just hang out on here. You know what I mean? So yeah, do I want to clean my office? No, ain't nobody gonna see this thing. I got a green screen that hides all my bullshit.
Right.
All right, we got some
And
comments
Mike
here.
Grove's not wrong. He's
Mike,
not wrong. Unemployment is the number you should look at because there are many jobs available, but nobody wants them. And when they get them, you got these people working fast food. Oh, I got to have $15 an hour. Well, that's great, but now it costs $17 to go get a full value meal from a decent fast food restaurant and get a full meal. So now, all right. So when I went to work, when I first got my first job in construction, I was 15. I made $8 an hour as a roofer. Back then, you could go spend $2.99 and you could get a Big Mac value meal for $3.99. You could get that meal supersized. So for basically half an hour of work every day, I could pay for my lunch at McDonald's. Now, if I go get a job making $15 an hour, yeah, minimum wage went up. Back then, minimum wage was $4.15 an hour. So even getting it supersized, you still only had to work an hour. But now, if you make minimum wage at McDonald's, you have to work an hour and a half just to pay for your meal. You have to work another 2.5 hours in order to pay your taxes for the day. So that leaves you only earning so 1.5, 2.5, 4 hours. So half of what you earn is going to cover your lunch and your taxes for the day. The other half is what you have to figure out how to live on. So, can you afford to live on 50% of minimum wage today? No.
not even close.
But, mm-mm.
So Meat
Inflation
Shield,
always outpaces wage growth.
I could be wrong, but I watched the same thing from Micro that you're talking about with the jobs versus people who don't want to work. I think those numbers that you cited are backwards. I think there are 14 million unemployed. Uh,
But there are 7
since
million jobs available. And so
yeah,
7 million of those 14 million don't want to work.
right, and that's what it is. Is
So
there's
I think he's got the numbers right there, just didn't have them all. Yeah, that's right. McDonald's needs to offer McFinance loans for a value
that's
meal.
funny.
Uh,
Meat Shield also
you ever
says
wonder what would have happened if somebody like say Jeffrey Dahmer opened a fast food restaurant? It'd be like McDahmer burgers. That'd be wrong.
I saw a picture of a taco truck the other day. It was sitting outside of a morgue. It's like the morgue said, it said basic funeral $2,500 includes caskets, but then the taco truck was sitting right below it and it said tacos 250.
Right, right. I saw I saw a picture the other day had me laughing. It was a hearse, and they were towing a chipper shredder behind the hearse. And it's like I guess there's another alternative to caskets now. It's like whoa, uh,
You got to include women, meat
micro
shield,
warned,
equality.
right? Labor force participation rates the most chilling economic metric, citing millions of able-bodied men who are not working or looking for jobs, and that is very true. So I know a guy in Memphis that I was friends with. We were acquaintances. I wouldn't say we were friends. Very intelligent person. The guy had 3 master's degrees. He was working on a PhD in Egyptology, and he was out of work, and he was trying to, he ended up not getting accepted to a professorship he had applied for, and so he was out of work, and so I was trying to help him find work, and I found him jobs that were starting at like $20 an hour. They were decent jobs, but he didn't want them because they required him to work. And he looked at me, he said, manual labor is beneath me. I have 3 master's degrees. I said, bro, you're about to get thrown out of your house. Nothing is beneath you. And he said, well, I have 3 master's degrees. I said, you have 3 master's degrees in different parts of Egyptology. The last guy who got a job in that field was Indiana Jones. I can't help it that you chose for your education a field that only employs 3 people in the entire world.
Yeah,
That's your fault. Now you have to do something about that. Do you want to eat Monday, or do you want to be out on your ear? You're going to have to do something.
it is.
Dahmer's more about pigment.
It is definitely a. I don't know how to say a. I'm losing my words here. It's a huge problem that has a potential fix, and I don't know who's going to fix it. It's a. I don't think it matters who you vote in for president or none of that shit.
Nope.
It.
Nope. It matters who you vote in for your town trustee, your town council, your county council, your state government. Then you can start fixing DC, because you're never going to fix your town from Washington, DC. That's the bottom line. We're trying to repair the house from the roof down, and you can't do that. You got to start at the foundation and fix the cracks in the foundation first.
I don't know who said it, but there's a quote that I love, and I'm going to read it to you guys. And I believe this is very relevant to today's world as well. Quote says, "Hard times create strong men create easy times create weak men, and weak men create hard times."
That's true.
So I think right now we are in the easy times part of this. So our
Yep.
easy living that we all live, we all got refrigerators, we all got electricity, we all got cars, we all got
Internet.
cell phones and internet and all that stuff, right? We're creating weak men. So, according to this quote, basically that the idea is that before we get hard men again, hard determined heads of households that run shit, we're probably gonna have to go through a pretty significant fall.
This is I'm going to say this, and I don't want anybody to take it out of context or take
Oh,
it the wrong way.
we're clipping it.
American America needs a civil war. That's what it's going to take for us to wake the hell up and realize just how bad we fucked up society.
Well, I hear you, but I don't think it's gonna take a war or any bloodshed to do. I think what all it would really take would be a serious secession of states. If 13
But
states,
but what is that going to do? That's going to cause a civil war. If we do that, we're going to have UN troops on the borders of those states ready to march in.
I don't think so.
I think we will.
I don't
I
think
might be wrong.
say you get Texas to Florida and every state in between saying, "Hey, yep, you know what? We're done with that shit. We're starting our own government, our own country, blah blah blah." I don't think that you're gonna get all them boys to go stand on the border of them crazy states.
You won't get American troops to do it. That's why they have NATO. That's why they have the UN, because they don't have to call Americans in. They can call Brits, they can call French, they can call Czechs, they can call Germans, they can call Russians.
Yeah, and I think the second those guys get a piece of paper that says, "Hey, you're gonna go fight against South Carolina today," they're gonna probably be like, "Yep, nope."
I don't know.
For $17 an hour,
I
find
won't say
somebody
it'd be
else.
interesting. I won't say it would be interesting to see what happens if they do that, because I don't want to see that. but I think it's going to take something major like that for America to turn around. I mean, you look at the last time we saw any kind of turnaround in unity across the United States. We've had nothing but disunity for the last 20 years. The last time we saw true unity across the United States was on September 12th, 2001,
Yep,
after the
I
World
agree with
Trade
that.
Center crumbled to the ground. We have not had unity in mass like we had since then. On September 12th, it didn't matter if you were black, white, Baptist, Muslim, Catholic, didn't matter if you were pretty,
It did
rich,
matter if you're a
poor.
Muslim, I'll say.
It, it did to an extent,
It was a
but
pretty
I lived
strenuous
I lived
time.
in a small town and we had a pretty good population of Muslims in the town that I lived in, but they they were just as heartbroken as we were. They were
Yeah,
destroyed over the fact that somebody would do that in the name of their religion.
I'm sure the 300,000 Muslims in America were destroyed, but I'm sure the 3.6 million throughout the rest of the world probably didn't share
Oh
the
no,
exact same feelings.
no, no, I agree with that. And OG, you mentioned up there earlier in chat that you have no hope in South Carolina because they chose Lindsey Graham and Nikki Haley. That goes back to what I said. Quit trying to fix your problems from Washington D.C. down. Get involved in the politics in your local town, your
Yep.
county. Start raising up young men like Flying Venom who stand for something and want to do something, and start voting them into office when they're 18, 19, 20 years old. Let the guys who they're actually studying and learning to be good at that job and be good at managing and taking care of things like finances, things like laws on crime. Find people who are young and who are willing to get into office locally, help them get into office locally, and then as they grow and they get older, find younger men to replace them as they move up in rank. And that's how you fix the country. And it's not something that will take place in a single election cycle. You're talking 20 years more to get somebody from the state, county, or local level into Washington D.C. But that's the only way you fix this country. You can't if you got a house that you're buying that's an investment property and the foundation's cracked, the walls are jacked up, the windows and doors are bad, the floors are bad, drywall's bad inside, and the roof leaks. You can't fix all that in a single week. You can trust the voting system if you start locally. That's how you do it. And it can't just be one place. You've got to
Yep.
have
I
people
agree.
all across the country who start locally. And once you get those people in place locally, they start reinforcing the way that the votes should happen. Then they move up, and then they're going to have to keep reinforcing that as they move up through the government. And the more people you get across the country that fight for that, yeah, we can trust it. That's not true, meat. Some of them do care. I know some of them personally in Tennessee. I have not yet made those connections here in Missouri, but I know some of them in Tennessee that care a lot. But what happens is we get these guys who come in, they get elected as a congressman or a senator in their very first election that they ever run in, and they have all these big plans to change the world, and they're decent people, they're good people. They go to Washington D.C. with their big plans, and the opposing aisle, as well as the the people on their own party, shut them down when they get there. And after a while, they just get tired of beating their head against the brick wall. And then 20 years later, when they're still in office and the new guy comes in with big plans, all of a sudden they're part of the brick wall because they've been honed into that. Oh, you're talking about the voting people. Yeah, you're right. Some people don't care.
So I think
I see what you're saying.
I think that once we get to a point, like you're saying, to where we vote in these people we actually want in or whatever, which I I'd say for the most part, like state governors and state representatives and state senators and stuff like that are probably the people that the majority. Now you gotta understand, some of us, myself, I'm in the minority in my state. So, you know, some at some point in time, you get the people you want in there. Sometimes, and whenever
Right.
that happens, I'm gonna take it back to the cessation idea. Let's say let's say 13 states want to secede, and do you think that these liberal softies up there in Washington are gonna want to try to take back something that don't even want to be part of anyways? You know what I mean? What the hell do they want Texas for?
Right. Well, I'll tell you why they want Texas, because Apple just invested billions in Texas
Cool, you can buy Apple from
because it's a
Texas.
moneymaker. It's a moneymaker.
Right, but you can still buy the products. We can still do the trade. Everybody can still make American pride. What up, man? Thanks for checking in, buddy.
Hey,
I ain't
brother.
seen you in a
Good
minute.
to see you.
You have joined a part of a conversation that is a shit show. We are talking about Civil War and or secession from the United States of America and the
Yeah, we're
possible
nowhere near our document.
outcomes of it.
Here's
Yeah,
been
Dr.
going
Joe
through
Rogan,
shit.
perfect
Okay,
example. Like, you don't think that guy could
I'll
get some
reach
people
out to you,
organized?
Pride. You know, here's the bottom line. Until Americans stop being satisfied with being comfortable and dealing with hearing things they don't like, that's where we're at right now. The conservative side of this country is okay with everything that's going on as long as that paycheck cashes on
So
Friday.
we're in the easy
As long as
times of
that
that
bill is
quote.
paid, we're on the easy times, and until hard times come, there
Yep,
will be no hard men, and that's the truth of it.
it's going to take a lot to get me hard. I'll tell you that. I like my easy
I am
life. American
I
pride. I'm sorry to hear
I'm
whatever you're
clipping
going through,
that.
brother. You know you can always reach out to any of us if you need
Absolutely.
something. We love you, man.
The UK is the same, and here's the thing: you would have thought, Speedy, that America would have learned. Hey, there's your quote right there. There,
Yep,
Pride
I
just put
just
it in
said that,
chat.
pride. Just said
He
it.
just said that 5 minutes ago. The UK, we should have learned from the UK in the 70s and the 80s. The 70s and the 80s, the UK went far left, and it's continued down that trend. And America didn't learn from that. We didn't stop it from happening here. We were 20 years behind
Well,
you,
we did learn
but
from
we
them, but
took the same
it
route.
was in the 1670s,
Oh, that's true.
and we said, yeah, we're out. But
Well, man,
anyways,
this
we
been a fun topic for sure. We'll have to revisit this.
we can. But right now we're up on our break. I'm gonna go empty the bucket and fill the cup.
Yes.
I do have a very good video here to watch. This would be our, I believe, sixth or seventh iteration of our national parks, and it is about the Washington Monument. Washington Monument's construction started in 1848, and due to the Civil War, was completed in 1888. It was the tallest structure on Earth when it was built, and remained so until the Eiffel Tower was finished in 1889. Constructed with over 36,000 stones, its walls at the base are over 15 feet thick. It even survived an earthquake in 2011 without falling or causing any injuries of the people inside. And there is camera footage from the inside of that tower during the earthquake too. It remains as the tallest stone structure on Earth. The Egyptians invented the design called the obelisk as early as 2465 BC. So that design is almost 5,000 years old now. And with that,
Pretty cool.
we will take you to
I don't
this
know.
video now.
Kind of looks like a memorial to Bill Clinton.
Oh boy. So please enjoy this video. If I have to click it a couple times, be patient, because sometimes I click it and it'll be on one of them stupid YouTube ads, but hopefully we got this straight. So you got a few minutes, everybody. Enjoy this video.
You're invited to the most exclusive party.
And it's an ad. Hey, welcome back. We're going to try to click it again.
Being your own boss
Let
lets
me
you
have
work
it.
on your
Yeah.
terms.
I can't.
With Blue Cross
I'm pulling up a URL source.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
DC
There
is
it
known
is.
for its
Yeah.
museums,
Alright, enjoy
politics,
the ad,
and
people.
iconic landmarks. But there's one that stands out
For
above
the
the
video.
rest.
You know what I meant. Shut up.
The Washington Monument.
You got it.
This unmissable marble and granite structure towers 169 meters above the city's notoriously low-rise skyline and has remained an enduring symbol of the US for over 100 years. But take a closer look and you'll see that its bricks change colour here. Now, that isn't just down to bad cleaning, it's actually evidence of the complicated mess that was the monument's construction. This is the story of how an American icon almost never existed. The Washington Monument remains the tallest stone structure in the world. In fact, it was the tallest structure in existence until the Eiffel Tower snagged its title. Built with over 36,000 stones, its load-bearing walls are an incredible 4.6 metres thick at its base, but taper up to a mere 46 centimetres at the top. Compared to many building projects, it looks pretty simple. No walls of glazing, balconies, or trees. But building this 100,000-ton structure was far from easy. When George Washington died way back in 1799, a private society was formed to honour the country's first president. They began fundraising and selected architect Robert Mills to design a monument. A logical choice, given that he'd already designed the Washington Monument in Baltimore, Maryland. His initial concept imagined a 182-metre obelisk in a circular colonnade, along with a statue of Washington and other war heroes. But it was expensive, roughly $1 million US. So officials decided to start building the obelisk and deal with the statues later. In the spring of 1848, excavation works began on the 2.3 metre deep foundation pit. The footings were built using large blocks of gneiss rock set into a mixture of lime mortar and cement. A clever and efficient system of pulleys and cranes was used to create 2 layers of walls using coarse white marble shipped from a quarry near Baltimore. Stone by stone, the structure climbed to a height of 46 metres. But in 1854, everything came to a halt. Funding ran out, and construction was taken over by the Know Nothings political party. Yes, that's really what they were called. Political support for the project dried up, and a few years later, the Civil War broke out. Half complete, the monument stood for decades as a hollow, oversized chimney, and was mocked as a national embarrassment. It looked as if it may never be finished. But when the Civil War ended, the committee began lobbying for funds again. It eventually gained support from Congress and the Army Corps of Engineers, but the challenges weren't over yet. Engineers were worried that the original foundations couldn't support the weight of the finished structure, so they added slabs of reinforced concrete to the base, and the monument's height was shortened from 182 down to 169 metres. A newly invented steam elevator was also installed to help carry materials as the structure rose. While steel beams were eventually used to support the lift shaft, the structural elements of the massive structure are entirely masonry. Then, to make matters more complicated, the quarry where the marble was originally shipped from was shut down. As a backup, the team sourced new marble from Massachusetts. But the brownish colour of the new stone began to look out of place, and engineers quickly sourced the rest of the stone from another quarry in Maryland. To save money, the statues from the original plan were never built. Finally, in 1884, the monument was officially completed, and it opened to the public a few years later. Today, you can still see where the different stones were used, now weathered by time, standing as a quiet record of the decades-long battle to build this structure. Since its opening, the monument has replaced its steam elevators with faster electric ones and installed glass walls and better lighting. It even survived an earthquake in 2011. Afterwards, engineers repaired several fissures throughout the structure. Despite its turbulent birth, the Washington Monument has evolved from a national embarrassment to an icon and is now a revered emblem of America's capital. It stands tall above this most powerful of cities, silently watching a noisy history unfold. It's seen presidents come and go, enormous legislative and judicial decisions be wrangled over, and millions make their voices heard. This remarkable structure is so much more than a monument to George Washington. It's a striking reminder of the disruption and horror caused by the American Civil War, a case study in how challenging building in this country can be, and a testament to what determined construction teams can achieve when they believe in what's possible. This video was sponsored by Bluebeam. You can learn more about how their digital construction tools are helping amazing teams around the world at the link below. Don't forget that we're inspiring the next generation of builders through our...
Alright. There's our break video.
Really good video.
Yeah, I like that one.
Sounds
Thanks
good.
to B1M for letting me use your video, even though you didn't let me use it because I didn't ask. Still appreciate it. Have you ever seen the Washington Monument in real life?
I have. Been to DC 3 different times on tourist trips. I've driven through DC
Yeah.
probably 100 times in a big rig, but I've visited all the major sites there. Very, very cool stuff. Um, Icons, really. I mean, in flight sim, we fly over it. I think we've done a few trips over DC and visited some of the places, and it's really neat to see them in there. But there is something about standing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial or standing at the base of the Washington Monument or standing outside the gate to the White House and seeing those things for yourself, or even more so, visiting a place like Arlington Cemetery and seeing the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. It's moving when
Meat
you visit
Shield
those
actually,
places and you realize how much history is
me
there.
and Meat Shield went to Washington D.C. together one time. Got to see greatest band on earth. Well, maybe
Oh,
tied for the
Leonard
greatest.
Skinner.
No, we saw them in Wisconsin. We saw AC/DC in D.C.
Ah,
But I'm gonna go ahead and take a pause for a second here. OG butt stuff. You could use some tact in your comments. You don't have to be so vulgar and full of shit. Say the things you say. You're welcome to stay, obviously, but some of the comments are a little distasteful, I think, for our crowd. That's
yeah,
it.
we do have kids who watch the show from
Well, I
time to
hope we don't have
time
no
too.
kids, but still, we
You know, just want to try to keep it at least semi-family friendly.
do have some churchgoers and anybody else, and we just want to be all inclusive. We don't want someone coming in here and being offended by the shit you're saying and not being able to enjoy our show and learn or partake in any of the events. So, freedom of speech goes as far as your neighbor's offensive level, I guess. So, we wouldn't want to push someone away
Yeah.
from the show just to keep you here talking shit. Yeah. So, next thing in our document here, we actually have some congressional activity to go on. Want to take this first one here?
Yeah. The Deliver for Veterans Act. This bill authorizes Department of Veteran Affairs to pay the total shipping price for the delivery of an automobile or any other conveyance to certain disabled veterans or members of the armed forces. Currently, the VA is able to pay the lesser of one, either $24,115 adjusted annually for inflation, or two, the full purchase price associated with providing an automobile or other conveyance to these individuals, not including the delivery cost. So they basically they're altering the law to where it includes not just the dollar amount for the purchase, but also to cover delivery costs. And believe it or not, that delivery cost can run really high. It can run into the tens of thousands of dollars
Yeah, so
depending on what type
basically
of
the
vehicle and
way
where
it's
it's coming
set
from.
now is they will, if you are a disabled veteran, I don't know where I'm putting my empties at. If you are a disabled veteran and it is a requirement for you to have some sort of special vehicle, like a wheelchair accessible van or any of that type of stuff, right? The VA will cover the cost of that, but you're responsible
That's
for the
high.
delivery, right? So what this bill does is not only are they going to cover the cost of this vehicle for you or part of it or whatever you're prorated to, they will also cover the delivery. So that it's
On
it's
on
it's
a
a
Twitch stream, yes, meat. I mean, we don't want to run people off.
well, no, I mean that's what freedom of speech is, right? You can say or do whatever you want, but
It's true.
whenever you start
You have the
slandering
right.
another human, they have the right to sue you.
Right. You have your rights, your constitutional rights go as far as your neighbor's rights. At the moment you encroach on their rights, then your rights end, and you got to find a border. You got to find a middle ground that you can both meet on. So when it comes to freedom of speech, I think that's probably one of the most debated rights that we have. Even I would say even more so than the right to bear arms. But you know, being being a little tactful in what we say, I think
I'm
goes
not
a
using
long
the word
ways.
offended, like oh my god, that hurt my feelings. Not like that. I'm saying offended, like the actual definition and historical use of the words, like to commit an offense.
All right, let's see. What's our next bill here?
We got House Joint Resolution 105, which provides for the congressional disapproval of the proposed foreign military sale to the UAE of certain defense articles and services. The last action on this was January 2nd. The House referred the bill to the House Committee on Foreign Affairs. So basically,
I
this
hope
is
that one goes through.
there's another one right after it is House Joint Resolution 106. Same thing, but it's for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So basically, what this is, and there are no published specifics on what type of things we're not going to sell these people, but we could assume it's probably high tier rocket systems,
Right.
stuff like that. So these, uh, like I said, us little peons down here have no idea what they're talking about really, but we can assume that if our congressmen are saying, "Hey, we got to stop selling these people this shit," they're probably
It's
they're
high
probably
grade
yeah
equipment.
they're probably selling them some shit that we don't want them to sell. So I
Here's,
think those are
here's
two.
too bad for both of these countries. They're not Afghanistan. We'd have just left them there for free.
All that stuff we left Afghanistan wasn't worth a hoot. I don't care what they tell you.
Uh,
I've seen the equipment in
I
Afghanistan.
don't
I'm
know.
telling you
Well,
right now,
well,
I wouldn't pay
well. I'll
sixty
tell you
thousand
this. I
bucks to
wish
ship it
they.
home either.
I wish they'd have dropped one of them Humvees in my yard and just left it, or a
Yep,
Blackhawk. I mean,
probably
I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty confident I could get into a Blackhawk, start it up, and fly it out of the yard.
not the ones they left in Afghanistan. You couldn't.
They managed to get them off the ground. There's video.
Okay. I'll use the same line I used on somebody yesterday. I also saw a documentary called Independence Day where they blew up the White House.
No, there was YouTube videos that Americans took of Taliban flying a Black Hawk and then crashing it.
I'm not saying there weren't able-bodied Blackhawks over there, but those weren't the ones that the U.S. We gave them helicopters, we gave them trucks, we gave them everything to help their defense.
I don't know. There's so much stuff, and here's the bottom line too. For us as citizens, we'll never know what we did and didn't leave there. We'll
Yep.
never get a detailed list of what they actually got their hands on because our government's just as dishonest as any other government.
Whiskey Dick says you have no rights unless you're incarcerated. Yeah, them guys are getting more and more rights every day.
Right.
Word on the street is. So we got some other topics to discuss here. This isn't necessarily in a timely fashion. I'll take the first one because you brought me the second one, and so I'll let
Okay.
you expand on it. First one is the military will conduct research and clinical trials to determine whether cannabis, magic mushrooms, and other psychedelic drugs can treat service members suffering from PTSD and TBI under provisions of the defense spending bill approved by Congress last week. Section 723 of the National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA, for those of you who have been here before, which received final congressional approval Friday, provides $10 million to research grants for psychedelic-assisted therapies and for qualified plant-based alternative therapies that include cannabis. Medical cannabis is legal in 38 states, the District of Columbia, and 3 U.S. territories, but remains illegal under federal law. Language in this legislation states that service members can participate in the clinical trials without breaking the law. What this means is, I'm a veteran, and if I suffer from PTSD, I can call the VA and be like, hey, I want to partake in one of these magic mushroom trips. It's going to help you in the name of science, right? So basically, it's not going to affect my VA benefits or my family's VA benefits in partaking in that. So it's all around a good thing, I think. Now, whether magic mushrooms fix brain injuries or not, I don't know, but I'm willing to take a ride to find out.
There's been a lot of claims surrounding TBI and mushrooms for decades. I've seen several really interesting articles that psychedelics can help people overcome the, I, I guess it'd be more the psychological setbacks from a TBI than the physical, but even in some cases, physical. Um, the it repairs, if I remember right, it repairs something in the brain and allows blood flow. It allows blood vessels to grow back together, um, and create blood flow to areas of the brain that weren't getting blood before. I'd have to go back and read it again, but it was some really interesting stuff.
Yep.
I actually read up on that just a couple months ago.
I'm excited, man.
So
Like I said, I'll do. Meat Shield says, since when is cannabis a psychotropic or whatever? So a psychedelic is defined as a substance that produces a change in perception, mood, or cognitive process, which I would definitely say weed does that to humans. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to see things. Like it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have audio or visual hallucinations. It just has to change your mood or your perception of things. Is it? That's the pretty general rule.
Alters your perception of the day.
Yeah. So, you know, they're not taking magic mushrooms in quantities that are going to make you think it's 1964 all over again. Like they're probably talking about super small dosages, controlled dosages. Now you might get a "Do not operate heavy machinery" sticker with that, but
Don't fly
yeah,
helicopters.
yeah, probably don't fly helicopters would be a good one. I can see how we can help at anything, but anything that makes you trip is a gamble. Right, and that's what I just talked about the dosage, basically the size of dose. They're not gonna, and they're not trying to
Well,
get you high as a fix, because then everybody just be high all the
well,
time.
and yeah, I mean that's my thing when it comes to legalized marijuana usage. I'm okay with medical marijuana. A lot of people that I go to church with, they're not. Oh no, 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 you can't use that. I'm like, look, you take painkillers that are based in cocaine all the time.
Hell
Let's
yeah.
just be honest about what kind of pharmaceuticals we're willing to put in our bodies. So I have no problem with medical marijuana. I do not think that allowing somebody to go to the head shop and buy a quarter ounce at a time and roll it and smoke it is true medical use. Medical use would be I know people that have used THC oils, based oils for um, cancer treatments. I know people that have used them, the CBD and THC based oils for treatments with gut injuries, things, internal injuries in the gut. I do know that they will get rid of tapeworms and things like that using certain types of oils that are THC and based. But rolling a quarter ounce and smoking it throughout the day, that is not medical use. Let's just be real. That's recreational use. You're getting high. You're
Well,
not
and the
you're not
same goes
solving a medical problem.
same goes with anything else, right? Like we can
Yep.
talk about the most dangerous drug ever invented, alcohol.
Yep.
Does 3 beers make you fall asleep quicker? Probably does.
Yeah.
Does 30 beers? Nope. Now that's just fun. Now that's just a NASCAR weekend.
Right. Right. And I mean, even in the Bible, Paul talked to Timothy in the New Testament. He said, "Take a little wine for your stomach." Timothy, if you research him, he had some stomach issues that were ongoing, and Paul told him to drink a little bit of wine. It'll help heal that up. He didn't tell him to go buy a gallon and chug it through a straw.
Well, didn't
You know,
Jesus
he,
throw a wedding party one time?
Jesus created or turned water into wine at a wedding party, and I've had people argue, "Oh no, it was non-alcoholic." I'm like, actually, if you look up the Greek word, the
Oh,
actual
come on.
definition, yes, they had two different kinds of wine that are mentioned in the Bible, and one of the words meant fresh grape juice, and the other one meant stored and fermented grape juice, and the word used there refers to fermented grape juice. Now, here's the other thing: the wine that they made back then, most of it was fermented for preservation's sake. It was not fermented to the point of alcohol content that we would get in a bottle of Chardonnay today. And so you're talking about, if it's fermented just for preservation's sake, you'd have to drink a gallon of it to get drunk,
If I was
you
at
know. But
Jesus' wedding party, I promise you, I'd do my best to drink a gallon.
but I mean, the other thing is too, um, the the Bible warns against the dangers of alcohol. It doesn't ever say you can't drink it. It just warns you in the Old Testament that it's a mocker, that it rages, and that it can harm you. And
Says
it
don't.
warns in the New Testament that it brings bad things with it. So, you know, know what you're getting into if you're going to get into
So
it. Now, Jesus didn't have a still in the
what you're
holler.
saying is don't be a glutton. I think that says that in the book, and it also says don't be a drunkard. I don't think getting drunk once counts you as a drunkard.
The same people who will look at you and say, "Oh, God can never use you, or you can't be a Christian if you drink," have no problem drinking a pot of coffee in the morning. and
Yep.
and let's just be real. Same people look at you when you smoke, say, "Oh, you can't smoke. You can't be a good Christian and smoke." I'm like, look, I've had coffee with you in the morning. I know how much you drink, and if you look up the actual physical changes that take place in your body, caffeine and nicotine are very similar.
Yeah.
The difference is how we put it in our body. You just do it different.
True. We're pretty judgy
I
people,
mean,
aren't we?
we are. Well, look, our next topic. This one is interesting to me, and I brought it to you about a week ago. It was an article that I came across that I found really interesting. We've talked about the American Legion already, and both Cody and I are both involved in our Legion post. I got to get my membership transferred up here to the post here in Stockton. But this article really hit home because I've been involved in projects like this through the American Legion. So for those of you who don't know what all the Legion has the ability to do, you're going to find this interesting.
Now I've
Homeless vets in
paraphrased. Hold on,
Tennessee.
hold on, hold on. I've the article that you sent me. I've kind of picked out parts and I've paraphrased what I think to be a pretty inclusive
Yeah.
paragraph here. So if I'm missing anything, feel free to add it in or whatever. This is just me. Fluffy says no matter smoke or drink, it says do not be a drunkard, which means not of sober mind. So any smoke or drink that takes you past that would be considered sin.
Yep. Anything that makes you to where you're not thinking clearly, that would be the danger. All right, so this story comes to us from Spencer, Tennessee. Homeless veterans in Tennessee now have shelter as they find employment, health care, and financial stability. Four tiny single unit homes have been built on a property owned by and adjacent from American Legion Post 207 in Spencer, Tennessee. The vision for the homes was that of Post 207 Commander Hansel Moore, and the result, coined Vital Veterans in Transition American Legion, was made possible from Post 207's relationship with members of the community. We're extremely excited about this, Moore said. It's a culmination of about 3 years of planning and a lot of hard work. I'm proud of this. I'm proud that we are able to do it through the American Legion. The idea for housing homeless veterans came to Moore, an Air Force veteran and VA nurse, after meeting one who shared that he lived in the woods alongside several other vets. Moore felt it wasn't right that I've got 12 brothers and sisters living in the woods about 5 miles from his house. Property next to the Legion post was for sale, and the only purpose it was serving was to grow grass, said Moore, who pictured tiny homes on it for homeless veterans. But the property cost was more than the post could afford. That was until a veteran from out of state visited Post 207 and saw what the post could do with more land. Post 207 underwent renovation several years ago and is the first Legion post in Tennessee to put in VA telehealth access for use by veterans in the rural area. That's pretty cool.
Indeed.
That's pretty cool thing to add. The veteran told Moore that the post was going to grow and he asked how much the property for sale was. I said, "How much they want for it, or how much do you think I can get it for?" And he said, "How much do you think you could get it for?" I told him, and this guy who I didn't really know reached into his pocket, pulled out his checkbook, and wrote a check for more than the property. He said, "I want you to go tomorrow and buy that property." It's just incredible, the whole process, and it's been a group effort. The 400 square foot single unit homes feature a living room, bedroom, kitchenette, and bathroom. They're built out of concrete, even the roof, and these are going to last long after I'm gone, Moore said, and they look beautiful. So that's pretty cool. A single Legion post in Tennessee was able to build housing for four veterans to get them off the street and get them into a good, clean, hardy shelter so that they can start transitioning to civilian life. And that, folks, that's what this show is all about, is helping our veterans transition to civilian life.
Does it say how many homes they were able to build?
Four. Four tiny single units.
Okay.
So they're not big. They're 400 square feet. You know, it's a studio apartment, a little bigger than a studio apartment. It'd be like 20 by 20 is what it would. What I bet they. I'm sure their squares probably 20 by 20. It's that's not huge, but man, that's huge for somebody who's living in a cardboard box or a tent.
Got better in the woods, probably.
I mean, it's cold in Tennessee right now. My buddy was telling me earlier it's like 15 degrees there. Those guys are probably pretty thankful to have those right now.
I'm sure. Are they up and running? Do we
Crazy.
know?
Yeah, it looks like they're up and running. Um, I might actually reach out to that guy. I'm gonna reach out to that post commander, see if we can get him on here for an interview.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Maybe he could use his phone and give us a tour of one of
Oh,
them.
that'd be
That'd be
fantastic.
pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool because that's something that we can then present to other Legion posts and other outreaches across the country and say, hey, this is possible. We can make this happen.
I know that those homes too, they're collecting the water off of them, so they have enough natural rainwater for a community garden, which I'm assuming they're they're going to start at some point in time.
Probably right there. Yeah, probably right there on the same property. That's pretty freaking awesome. I mean, these guys, and you know, folks, years ago, generations ago, America had a sense of community that it doesn't have anymore. Let me ask you this: you guys that have lived in the same place now, Cody, you're pretty rural, and out in rural America, it's still a thing. But in the cities, those of you who live in the cities, what do you know about your neighbors? How much time have you spent around your next door neighbor other than waving to them in the driveway? Maybe you know their name, and that's about it. Back in the day, we had a sense of community to where if somebody in our town, especially small towns, was going through something and they were struggling with something, the whole community came together and did something to help them out. And our veterans used to not be deserted. Didn't used to be that we had so many homeless veterans. And I realize we've talked about that subject before, and some guys prefer to be in that situation. That's their choice. But for those who don't, why do we have so much of that? And I think it's because we've lost our sense of community. And that's one thing. I disagree with a lot of things the Amish people do, but that is one thing they do very well. They look out for their community,
Sure.
and I think America could,
That
all of
you know
us could do better to learn that.
that's the phrase I should have used earlier when I said about social gatherings and stuff. Our sense of community. Like we get our sense of community today from events like we're doing right now. Me and you hanging out, driving trucks, playing World War II games, whatever. A- And we're fulfilling our need for communication and
Social
so
interaction.
yeah, social interaction with other people. It's not a in person thing anymore.
That's true. That's true. And
Those
it would
homes,
help all of us to get involved on a personal level in person. Can you imagine being one of the guys who helped build that home? Maybe you're just the concrete truck driver, so they're made out of concrete. Maybe you're just the guy driving the truck. You're getting sent to a job site. You don't know what it's about, but then you get there and you find out what it is that you're helping build. How good's that going to make you feel?
absolutely. Every time you drive by it, you're gonna show your kid. You're gonna be like, "Hey, I helped do that."
It's like that meme I shared on Facebook the other day. Is a picture of this guy laughing and pointing, and it says, "Every guy in a trade." There's a house that I worked on
Yep,
right over there. And that's true. I find myself even going through Memphis. I can drive through Memphis. There's not a neighborhood that I can go to in Memphis that I can't go, oh, hey, I did the windows on that house over there. And now it's getting like that up here in Missouri, in Branson and Springfield. I drive through a neighborhood. It's like, oh, I did the windows on that house over there. I did the deck over there. And imagine being the guy who drives past those four tiny homes, knowing that at any given time there are four veterans, and who's in those homes may cycle from time to time as people get on their feet and go out and get another place. But there's four people that you helped get out of the cold. You helped get out of the wet. That's pretty cool.
yeah, it is. And those homes were built 100% from donations. There was
Yep,
no cost to the occupier. Fantastic.
that's pretty cool.
So since we're kind of
I'd
having a
love to see more of that.
and political and yeah, whatever. Anyways, my mom told me this thing the other day, and I think she told me it on accident. But because she said this phrase and then immediately tried stopping and saying something else. But the initial phrase she told me, I typed in here so I could have it for today. And she said, "The American dream has overrun the American's dream."
Mm, that's deep.
She quickly corrected herself into some other thing. The American dream has overrun the American dream. But I kept what she said first on accident. The American dream has overrun the American's dream. And that hit. Like I heard that and I'm like I said, it impacted me.
It's
That's why
true.
I immediately wrote it down. And I think that our government being so pro refugee and pro immigrant and all this stuff that we're concentrating more on trying to include people than we are in trying to take care of our own. You know, why would an immigrant get to start their own business here and not have to pay taxes for 7 years? But whenever I started my own business, I gotta pay taxes year one. Why are we taking care of people who aren't even here yet more than we're taking care of the people that have been here for generations?
Very true. Very true. I love that statement. I'm going to use that. And here's the other thing too. What is the American dream? If you asked 10 different people, you'd get 10 different answers.
That is the
That's the
American dream.
beauty of America, is that we can have our own answer to that question. You go to Pakistan, Afghanistan, other countries where China, where the government controls every single thing that you do, the and you ask them folks what their dream is, they're all going to give you a pretty standard answer. Here in America, the American dream could be well, like the TV show that my kids and my wife started watching last night. It's not The Cake Boss, but it's about another guy in New York City that runs a cake bakery. His granddad started the bakery in 1910, and his dad took it over, and then he grew up in the bakery. Now he's running it, and his son's growing up in the bakery. For that family, the American dream is having a successful bakery. But what about the guy whose American dream is having a successful window business, or a successful trucking company, or just to be able to live out in the wilds of Montana and be unbothered
Hell
by
yeah.
anybody? Everybody has their own version of the American dream. But the problem is that America's society as a whole has been duped into believing that in order to achieve the American dream, we got to work 110 hours a week. Both parents in the home have to work, and we got to have 4 cars and a 3-car garage and 1 car in a carport behind the house and a pool and a 50-inch flat screen and gig speed internet. And if we don't have those, then we're not successful. I know people who live in a mobile home on 10 acres some of them rent, some of them own. They live on 10 acres of land, don't even have internet in their house, don't have cable TV. If they want to watch TV, they got to pop a DVD into the DVD player and watch it with their kids, or catch an over the air channel to catch the news. And they're happy because that is their American dream, is just to live in that situation. Their bills
The
are paid,
American
they're
dream
warm, they're
is a
dry,
fluid idea.
very fluid.
Well,
But
do you have
the
anything else that
drive
you'd like
to
to?
get the American dream has overrun that.
Well, I think yeah. I think the drive for our government thinks they have to control the American dream. I think is what I get from that is like, my American dream only involves me. I don't
Okay, Tony.
include how hard a politician works or how hard how much money Joel Osteen made from his last book. Like none of that is relevant to my American dream. My American dream is that I would like to be self-sufficient without all the fingers of society taking my shit, right?
Yep.
Whether it be taking my
Yep.
speech, taking my guns, taking my money, taking whatever.
to to be able to know that if the economy collapsed tomorrow, I'd be okay.
Yep,
That's my American dream. If I know that at the end of the day, if tomorrow the stock market crashes and we go through the depression that they went through in 1929, my family's still going to have food on the table. I have the ability to do that. I can grow my own food. I can shoot my own food. But that for me, that's the American dream, is just knowing that if everything that we take for granted, our internet, our telecommunications, our TV, our government collapsed, I'd still be able to feed my family. And I think that pretty much everybody that's in our audience could probably give a different definition of what for them the American dream means.
for sure. So we've had a pretty colorful episode, a lot of debate, a lot of different ideas and
Yep.
exchange going on. And I also have a quote that I would love to, before we recap, to tie up and just kind of see what you think of this. I've
All
kind of
right.
said this type of thing before, but I've really I've whittled this down to a specific phrase that I like. I'm gonna coin for myself. You can disapprove of a person's behavior or decisions without disapproving of that person and without pushing them to change their ideals. Your disapproval is not a catalyst for change.
Truth. There are things that you do that I might not agree with. There are things that I do and say that you might not agree with. But that goes back to what we talked about with rights. Your rights end where my rights begin, my rights end where your rights begin, and we have to find that middle ground. And unfortunately, what people don't tend to realize today is that middle ground where those two rights meet, it's a gray fluid line based on the two individuals involved with the situation. We can have a discussion about things that you disapprove of in my life or things I disapprove of in your life without being angry and calling each other names and screaming and hollering and walking away. We can have discussions about differing political views and do that. But a lot of people don't seem to be able to do that today. They feel like, well, if I see something a certain way, then you have to see it that way too. And if you don't, you're a horrible person, and I want nothing to do with you.
Yeah, it makes me think of like those super liberal people you see in the memes. Like you've seen that girl that's got glasses on with short hair and like she's just yelling at the camera in that
And
meme.
every meme ever.
Yeah, it's like, hey,
She is famous.
I'm allowed to be me. You're allowed to be you. I'm not coming to your town telling you can't be you. You do you. Let me do me
Right.
though. That's the other part of that is let me do me.
Yeah. And you know what? You can believe whatever you want to believe. You can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. Just don't expect me to play the game with you.
Agreed.
Just because I disapprove of it doesn't mean that you can't do it. But don't expect me to smile and act like it's okay if it's something I disagree with. Now on the flip side of that, if I disagree with it, I don't got to come beat you over the head with it every time I see you.
Yeah.
You know.
So
So yeah, that's a good statement.
recap and close time. Check out all of our past episodes. Not all of them because I know for a fact episode 26, where I had was half asleep for an hour and a half, is not on there. I was so asleep that I also let the video expire and was unable to download it. And we're also missing like episode 6 or something. But everything else is on YouTube and can be found at the link in chat. Please check out our YouTube channel. Hit like, subscribe, all that stuff that they tell you to. Smash the like button and all the stuff that the YouTube guys tell you. Bottom line is, I'd appreciate your support. Please check it out. We also have a Patreon page up and running. If you could find it in your hearts and in your wallets to support this stream. We don't do subs. We don't do any of the Twitch affiliate stuff that we have to pay 50% of. We do Patreon. So, if you could find it in your hearts and your wallets to support the stream, please visit patreon.com/patriotview.
And what do you get in return for that? A warm, fuzzy feeling knowing that you're promoting and helping someone who's served our country and you're helping him spread the message. We're getting information out, and the message isn't always just opinion or his personal thoughts. We're actually getting useful information out in the hands of our vets. So when you support that Patreon, you're helping make that possible.
Absolutely. I don't have any sort of Patreon's got like tier system to where tier 1 you get like special chat, tier 2 you might get a t-shirt, tier 3 you get a coffee cup or whatever it is. I don't have any of that in place yet because right now we have 2 Patreon supporters. Speedy, shout out. Cake the Head, shout out. Appreciate you guys. Said that at the top of the show. You guys are the first 2 supporters. Speedy being number 1, the first supporter. Eventually we will have enough money to do multi-streams or something like that to where we can even spread the net wider. Until then, I'm not using it for anything. It's just sitting there. I don't even have my bank account connected to Patreon yet, so that way all the money that is coming in from Patreon just sits until I can find something productive to do with it. If at some point in time we get to where we're getting say hundreds of dollars a month, is what I'm going to do is I'm going to take half that money and give it to my American Legion because I know we won't need that much to keep this show. None of it's ever going to go in my pocket though. I don't want or need your money for my personal gain. But if you
You
or
have
someone,
three.
what's that?
You have three,
3? Oh, we got a new one.
apparently.
Who's the new one?
I'm trying to see how to. Let's see, audience.
Can you see who the new one
Justin
is?
Brothers, Jeremy, Melvin, and Speedy.
Hell yeah, brothers. I don't know if you're watching today or not, but thanks, brothers. That's one of my good friends. Actually, you saw him in our trip to St. Louis, the Metallica concert. He was the handicapped fella who I had to carry his crutches for because he lost his car. It's a long story, but that's a good episode.
Interesting.
It's on YouTube. Check it out. If you
Very
or
cool.
someone you know needs to talk or needs information for a veteran, reach out. There are 3 manners in which you can get a hold of me. All 3 of which are getting ready to go into chat. Copy. Paste. Email, Discord, and Facebook are all there. I monitor all of those pretty regularly. So if you need some help or know someone who needs some help with anything, if you need $20, I'll send you $20. If you need oh hey, whoever just came into the Discord, welcome. We are in the middle of a stream right now. So please be cognizant of that. But if anybody needs any help, pretty much on any sort of fashion, get a hold of one of them links, and we will absolutely figure out a way to get you what you need.
I think that was Mel.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was her. What a pain in the ass. She's so sorry for ruining our whole entire show, guys.
No, she didn't.
But so that's it. This document again is pinned up top. If you guys wanna, you can click that. You can save the document to your computer, come back, review anything we've talked about, click any of the links you want to read, any more of the stories. All of the links and proper citations are in there for everything. The break video link is also on that document. Thanks to the B1M for unknowingly let me use your video. At this point in time, we're
Very
going
cool.
to send out a raid to our favorite raid subject, if I can remember how to spell it. Let's see here. Unrecognized.
Big
Oh, it's
prize.
because I typed in rain, not raid. I'm really
I
good at
got
this.
you.
All right, there it is. Our raid started. Now we're going to go to our end credits. Cowboy, thank you for coming.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. It's good to be part of the show again.
Absolutely.
You guys have a great day. We'll see you next go around.
Thank you all for watching. If you or anyone you know would like to be on the show, please reach out via Discord, email, or Facebook. Those links are in chat. Veterans, if you need to talk, call a brother. Reach out to our team via Discord or call the Veterans Crisis Line by dialing 988, going to veteranscrisisline.net for online chat, or texting 838-255. You are all invited to join us for NASCAR, NFL, NHL, everything, all the sports that we watch together sometimes on Sundays is in our Discord channel. Please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/patriotview. I would be so grateful if you could make a donation. Big thanks to the Patreons who support this page with the donation: Speedy, Take the Head, and Justin Brothers. Special thanks to Verdict for their music for the intro video, and also rest in peace Chris, that's the lead singer, the band who did our intro video. He passed away recently. That has been a couple of years now, but still, fantastic singer, fantastic group. And you know what I always say, don't talk about it, be about it. We're out.
Good show.
Hell yeah, back to Discord.
Yep.